afternoon. It's Wednesday, July 24th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. Calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is there anyone recording this? I see no one. LakeCAM is recording this and will be available at a future date. First on the agenda, we're going to skip down to 8 North Precinct Street, meet with Outback Engineering to discuss requested local upgrade, because he has another appointment to get to, so we will take North Precinct Street first. Jeff?
Yeah. Jeff Youngquist, Outback Engineering. Yes, this is number 8 North Precinct Street. All it is in order to eliminate having to put a pump system in or having a mound to the side of the house, what we're doing is just asking relief from 5-foot setback, 5-foot separation of groundwater to 4 local upgrade. We have a 2-minute perk, so that's why we're asking for it.
Okay. We didn't have to notify any abutters for this request. It's a local request. Again, on this one, there's only one well in the area. It's over 100 feet away.
It's their own well.
And it's the locust well. And it's only about 10 inches. We're going 5 to 4, but you're 4.17, so it's about 10 inches lower than what it should be.
Yep.
To avoid a pump. Would have raised the plumbing, which I guess
Yeah,
a
I'm
reasonable
just
request to me on
curious.
this
Like Ed, you were there for the perk, right?
Yeah.
Does that C layer? You feel comfortable with this?
It's definitely a less than 2 minute. But like we don't have a lot of information on the well, but there's no signs of contamination. We do have a recent well test and it's good. And it's good with the old system, and this one's going to be a little higher. So,
well, was it just 2 minutes, or was it like?
No,
or was it? Did you blow through?
Yeah, it was like 1 minute. Probably.
Okay.
one. You have any comments on this one?
No, I mean,
You're avoiding the pump.
saving some money. There's nothing nearby. The well test was good, right? No.
I don't know if we have a well
Was
test
there a well
on this
test?
one. They don't.
Yeah, no, they did do a well analysis, and it was good. There was no
Claims the well's clean.
What was in there was a pit, just a pit right next to the house.
Okay.
So, and like I said, this is an improvement on the old
Yeah.
system. So if there was no contamination with the old one, then I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, we're moving this one. It's actually further away. Looks like the pit might have just been within the 100. Okay. Yeah, on this one, I don't have.
I mean, normally when we look at this, there's so much other stuff from crouching.
Right.
You know,
And what was the reason for sticking with 2 bedrooms? Just because it was already
That's what
a 2?
it is, existing 2-bedroom home.
Right. You just didn't want to design.
Did he
It's
increase
plenty of
it?
acre. I just don't, normally they jump up to 3, but it's fine. Well, would asking if this request had trigger if they went for a 3-bedroom. Is that why they stayed with 2?
If he did, he would have had done another perk, 2 perks.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, he
Increase.
could have done it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I think it is.
Says it's a 2-bedroom.
It is, he designed it for 3-bedroom. It's 336 gallons per day.
Right,
Right,
they're
so-
still calling it a 2.
It's calling it 2, but if they had something,
The flow's there.
but it's designed for 3.
yeah, flow in the space.
yeah, 3 is the minimum without a deed restriction.
Good. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the subsurface sewage disposal system upgrade at 8 North Precinct Street with the 1 local upgrade approval to go from 5 feet to 4 feet from groundwater.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff.
We will see you next time.
Thanks, Jeff. We don't even need to be brushed today. Good? We take our time, take a drink of water.
Say nothing after.
No. No, but I think there's somebody coming in at 6, I believe. All right, we'll jump back to first on the agenda. Resendes Soccer Academy Summer Soccer Camp, July 29th through August 4th, being held at Ted Williams Camp, 28 Precinct Street. I'll turn it over to Ed, what we're approving on this one.
Yeah, they're just doing a soccer camp. We've got just about all the paperwork now, and then, it's actually on Monday, so we'll actually do the inspection, just prior to the camp, because, you know, there's nothing there now. So if everything goes well, then we'll issue them the permit then.
Okay. And they have full bathrooms over at Ted Williams Camp now and everything's open and,
Yeah, and it's a day camp. Most of the kids bring their own lunch, bring their own, water and stuff like that, so it's not too much,
Is this the first year?
Sorry?
Is this the first year of this?
Yeah.
okay, so this is just a one-time,
Yeah, they do this
Permit.
camp in a lot of towns. It's not just Lakeville, like every week it's a different town, so they're pretty used to it. It's just,
so we'd need a motion to approve it pending your inspection
Yeah.
prior to issuing the permit?
yeah, that's the only thing we just have to pass. So myself and that town nurse goes out as well.
Okay,
Cause they have like, so in case one of the kids gets sick or something, they have, medical personnel there for them as well. Not, you know, so.
okay. And I see no one here to speak to this one. Any questions on this?
No. Make a motion, we approve the soccer camp, recreation camp application for a permit for Resendes Soccer Academy Summer Soccer Camp for July 29th to August 4th at Ted Williams,
Pending inspection.
pending inspection.
Second? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're jumping down to number 2, Lobster Hut LLC, doing business as Cousins Maine Lobster, 6 Birch Bark Road, Medway, Mass. It's a new mobile food permit, must be for the year. I don't see anyone to talk to this one, so I'll have Ed update us where we stand on this.
Yeah,
one.
it's basically what it says. It's a lobster truck. They serve lobster out of the truck. They go to Elliott Farms. Elliott Farms is doing a lot with different mobile trucks. You know, like every week it seems like they have a different one there. Sometimes it's coffee, sometimes it's ice cream. I've already inspected them. They're good. They're very professional. They work in a lot of towns. They work all over, so they really pass the inspection, no problem. Yeah, that's about it.
And they'll be able to go anywhere in town with this permit.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's
They,
not
they,
just limited.
yeah, I think they are working with the farm, but once we give them this, they can go anywhere, you know, it's like I said, providing they have the permission of the
Yeah.
property owner, yeah.
So this one's good to go, we don't need to pen an inspection or anything? This is
No,
all
we already
set.
did the inspection.
No one here to talk to it, any questions on this one?
That's pretty straightforward. Make a motion, we approve the new mobile food permit for Lobster Hub, I want to say Hut, LLC DBA as Cousins Maine Lobster.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next, review and approve meeting minutes as typed for May 1st, 2024. All 3 were present. You wanna just approve them without Bob, or we wanna just jump over it and see if he shows up or
was-
stay into next week?
I mean, was there anything that he,
Is it a short one or a long
I
one?
don't think,
Did anybody step down on this one?
no, I don't think so.
Bedford Street, all these.
It's just the shore Ave, that well. Bedford Street. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me whether we save it or not. I don't know.
I'm good with it. You wanna just-
Yeah, we'll just run
Wow, that's, I'll wait, see, his name was on it too.
it. All right.
Okay, we're gonna table the meeting minutes for now to see if, Bob Palucci does show up. He said he might make it here by 5 today for the meeting. So we'll put that on the end if he shows up. So we'll continue that. Jump down to announcements. For a minute. I'll turn that one to Ed. Do you have the Triple E or any other announcements?
Yeah, so, there's been some more triple E. There's now been 9 positive cases of, triple E in mosquitoes only. There's still no human cases, none in, animals either. But the 9, 7 were in Carver, 1 was in Halifax, and 1 was in Kingston. So all kind of in the same area. There's been, 25 cases of West Nile. But they're kind of all over the state.
Just mosquitoes though too, right? With that?
Just mosquitoes as well. No human cases of anything, either West Nile or Triple E. But there were 2 cases of positive mosquitoes in Middleborough. That's about, but like I said, for the most part, they're all over. So, Lakeville technically is still low, both for West Nile and for, Triple E at the moment. But Middleborough is a moderate risk because, that's getting into the area of Carver and things like that, where it's, is a lot higher incidence of it.
Okay. No talk of aerial spraying yet from the state?
None yet.
I was just gonna say, has Plymouth County Mosquito Control said anything yet? Like, any plans or what they're thinking?
No, I don't know. It's gonna come from the state, the spraying. I mean, Plymouth County does do spraying, aerial spraying and truck spraying. And they'll do that, but, the bigger sprayings, I guess, you need approval from the DPH, Department of Public Health. And I haven't heard anything there yet.
Okay. Is there any other announcements besides the?
No, that was it.
Okay, and all our future meetings will be back on our normal schedule after tonight.
Yeah, 6
Now
p.m.
the summer's over, everything will be back to the first and third Wednesday of the month, and it'll be at 6 p.m. Okay, any pending items?
No pending items.
Do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I have none either, so we'll keep moving. Okay, we'll jump down to number 6. We were kind of doing this, yes?
Do you mind if Darren, he's got his son here, do you mind if Darren goes before me?
No, not at all.
I just
Okay.
make sure.
Yep, so actually we're gonna jump down to number 7 now. We were kind of doing this backwards because we were kind of waiting for Bob to show up.
Yeah, mine's pretty
Plans.
basic, so.
He plans on coming, but just so we had 3 of us. And I'm sure you're aware, but any motion made will have to be unanimous.
Yeah, mine's an upgrade of an upgrade, so I don't think you guys will have a
Just-
problem.
All right, so 17 Central Ave, meet with Foresight Engineering to discuss requested local upgrades and that.
Yeah, good evening, Darren McHale from Foresight Engineering, here on behalf of the property owner. Basically, this was repaired, I think, 20 years ago, 2004, to the leach field, that's in failure right now, so we've slid the leach field a little bit closer towards the well house, still 100 feet from that, but we cannot get the 100 from our well anywhere on the property, so we're still within 100 feet for our own well. We have shown a proposed water tie-in for the future that will be sleeved the entire way because we can't get far enough from the existing plumbing or the septic, but they haven't run the water up the road yet, and the other 2 neighbors don't want to pay yet, so that'll be in the future. It is a fast system. Notified both water departments for the pond setbacks for the tanks in the leach field. So we're within the 400 feet, but outside the 200 with the tanks, but inside, I think we're 195 with the system. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay.
No grade change or anything like that, so it's a gravity.
No grid, no wall, none of that.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I think we have been doing to be consistent on all of them was just making a note when water does come available that
Yep.
it has to be tied in.
Yep. That's why we showed it on there, because I told him
For
the
that.
same thing, like, they'll give you the variance because water isn't available, but if it was
Well,
available, we'd be
within-
tying in.
And the only thing I guess we discussed, I think we picked a couple different lengths, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year. And then I think now we've run into a couple already that we hadn't been putting them on the deed.
We can put in
So
the
we
notice.
needed it on the deed because the house was
Yep.
sold and the new owners didn't, and we sent a letter and then they said,
Yep.
well, we didn't know that.
We can make sure it's in the deed notice. We already have a notice anyways for the fast, so,
And this is a shallow well?
yes,
Has-
original well.
It's already been high in nitrates.
Yep.
Is the water system still working? I know where the last test was 2018.
It hasn't been occupied, so I don't know when the last test was since then.
So probably this before
Probably
certificate of
before the-
compliance?
Yeah,
Would you plan on getting a water test
Okay.
and making sure that
Yep.
it's not high in nitrates, just because it's already,
that's tough.
I think that was my only concerns, was just that well.
Yeah, just the well and the shallowness.
And the water is 150 feet plus away, if we looked at the
Right, and
map.
it's a treatment
Yeah.
system too, so.
I don't think it's, I haven't been pushing the homeowner to pay to run it 150 feet. plus
Yeah, if
the
these
time.
next two neighbors would kick in, it would be a lot cheaper for them, but this one repaired, in 2000 and this one's still original, so they're probably not in a hurry at all, so. And they're both on wells.
I think, do they ever plan on hooking in if they're on wells?
Maybe, but, with the one that just upgraded, he probably won't, tie in until you do the next upgrade, so he's probably got another 10, 15 years, but the other one closest to where the water is now is an original system, so that one could be sooner. And then you got the two across the street. They're on the water side, those are both on wells, and they both have original septic, so they should be coming up at some point, they'll be pumping their septics up to the front, like everyone has.
Have we heard anything new, Ed, about the situation down there? It's been a while since we've talked about it.
So they went through the Department of Public Utilities and they were able to allow them to raise their rates. So they're gonna be charging $225 a month, starting August 1st. So they're continuing there. So part of the thing was they said they didn't have enough money and they wanted to charge more. Most of the residents obviously wanted to push back on that because they thought $225 was a little much for a month, even when it's, it's not metered. So if you use 10 gallons, you pay $225 a month. It's just, so there's a lot of pushback from that, but DPU did allow them to raise their rates.
Is there anyone else here to speak on this one? I don't see anyone, and like I said,
Just one thing on, the nitrates, it has been really high in the past.
Okay.
And then it was actually told that they were supposed to, test it every year.
Okay,
And they haven't been doing it, so either we make it a condition that they test it every year. Because like I said, people do put in treatment systems, sell the house and they say, oh, you don't need that.
Right,
Whatever,
right.
and then it doesn't. But this was extremely high.
Okay.
It's a very
Yep.
dangerous well.
I'm in agreement with that it's testing high, so we can put that in, so water line notice within 6 months of water availability is gonna be tied in, and then
Yearly
current
testing
water
until
test
then?
and yearly testing after
until
that.
it's tied in,
Until it's tied in, okay.
because this was, I didn't see that, so this was already in the file that they were
Yeah,
supposed to be testing.
Because it was so high, they were supposed to be testing
And they
and
haven't.
they haven't been.
Yeah.
So
And they
now,
obviously weren't taking care of the system either, so.
So just for the new owners, so they know that
It's
going
full
in, that
sludge.
you're gonna have to test this every year.
and
Yep.
give the Board of Health a copy of the test.
Okay.
To make sure it's working until. Do you have anything else?
No. All right. I'll make a motion. We approve the sewage disposal system upgrade at 17 Central Ave with the 3 local upgrade approvals for setbacks and the requirement to tie into water when it comes down within
6 months?
6 months in the deed. So it carries with, so future owners
Yep.
will know it.
And
And if they-
yearly water testing?
Annual.
Well,
And the
until-
yearly water testing that was previously required to be
Yep.
reinstituted
And put on the deed.
and put in the deed. Yeah.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, sir.
Next on the agenda, meet with Zenith Consulting Engineers to discuss requested local upgrade approvals for 17 4th Ave. Jamie, I'll turn it over to you. Okay. Jamie?
Do you want me to set up the board? Oh, thank you.
Sure. The camera, I guess, you can set it up.
Appreciate it.
People want to see it.
I've got a collapse, not anything else. Do you want me to move it so it's not going? All right. Good evening, or afternoon, actually. Jamie Bissonette, Zenith Consulting Engineers. Hope everybody's doing well. Got a septic repair with some local upgrade approvals. This is a system repair, replacing a cesspool. The system, we're utilizing the MicroFast 0.5 unit to be able to reduce the system size by about 50%. Due to site constraints and groundwater elevation, we have retaining wall surrounding the entire leaching field. I did speak with Ed today a little bit about it. Ed had concern, and I agree with him, that there's a chance for some water to be trapped at the existing wall and where our new wall is going up to. So what we're gonna do is, Ed and I have agreed to add the language onto the approved plan to make sure that the grading is proposed to slope out of that low spot and around the system so it continues to flow downhill. Besides that, the waivers are pretty standard for this area. We've got one well, which is less than 100 feet. So we're asking for a 90-foot setback to that. That person was notified, the cards given to Ed. There's also the rear property line. We have a setback reduction asked there. That abutter was also notified. And then we have some setback waivers from the tanks to the crawl space. As you can see, we're in a pretty tight spot. It's not really a heck of a lot we could do besides possibly reroute the plumbing in a crawl space and try to poke it out the side. I don't think that makes a lot of sense here. And then we have the sieve analysis, the one test hole, and the 12 inches to high groundwater with the inverts. So try to answer any questions, design or waiver wise, that you might have.
And this is obviously seasonal, because
It's got the water connected to it. I'm not sure if it's seasonal or not.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, that whole end doesn't have water down the street yet.
And from what I'm hearing, I don't know when it's going to. So, but yeah, I didn't know if it was, if it's not year-round water, then it must be seasonal.
Yeah, there's no well on the property, which it doesn't show me a well, it just
Correct.
shows that what?
Yep.
Approximate water service?
Yeah, we're showing the water service, and I did look at an abutting plan today for somebody else, and it showed the same thing, no well on site. This actually helps. You're gonna see an application for a well that you'd approved before across the street. With this new system, just the move from the cesspool here to the system here, that's gonna reduce 100-foot variance that they had to ask you for. So that's gonna help with an abutter putting in their well. I believe they're gonna come back in front of you.
Because
for
now
that.
they meet 100 feet everywhere.
I don't know about everywhere, but this certainly helps them. This was at least one less that they needed.
Yeah, that was the main one. I think that was
Yeah.
the only cesspool.
This was the cesspool. This was the big one. So this will be a good improvement for the area.
Okay.
Yeah, you granted the permit, but they never put it in, and I think it's expired.
That's right. Yeah, they said that and I pointed them back to Brad,
Oh, they're putting it right close to the road.
Right.
Yes, we had a picture of that one.
Yeah, there was a well there, but it wasn't permitted, and they wanted,
And we gave them a permit to put the well in 5 feet from the road, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So now this well's off, their setback. So
yeah, this was one of the worst, the closest one, I think, I believe, and it was also a cesspool. I think that was our biggest concern when we were doing it.
Okay. All right, and we don't deed restrict these seasonal anyway, just because of the water, right? It's not something we don't add. It's just a given,
Yeah, I mean, it's a seasonal home.
just by it only has temporary
Yeah,
water.
because of the
We don't
water.
need to add that in the deed. Unless it might already be in there, I don't know what the deed says, but normally they don't have it in the deed.
I don't know what the
Seasonal.
deed says either. I didn't look at it.
Chris? I looked
Yeah.
through everything, internal tank, I mean.
There's not
Jamie,
much to really,
Seeing that usually has
It's
everything on the
where-
plans. Tar coated, you want it vacuum tested, you want booties, you
yeah,
want.
we've got,
Just
you
experience.
put
Certified
anything-
manufacturer, watertight from the manufacturer, and he has everything on it.
yeah, it's treatment, which is the only thing we can do.
Yeah, and those internal, ones seal much better underwater than the
Oh, so much better. It's,
Yes,
yeah.
night and day. If they're inside the tank,
Yeah,
everything's sealed.
it's just,
They're not just plopped on top with some
I completely agree.
caulking or,
Yep.
little silly roll of tar.
Exactly, yeah, the butyl or whatever it is that they put
Yeah.
around it. Yep.
Yeah, it's, for water situations, those are, and obviously you drop the tank so much just for buoyancy.
Well,
too.
yeah, the only reason that we put the tanks down any lower than they have to be is for buoyancy situations. And you know how we calculate buoyancy on these,
Yeah,
so.
totally submerging water, empty.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a big improvement. Another one gets out of the water table on the pond, and they're doing the
Right.
fast system with the treatment, D-nite, because you don't need nitrogen loading, and I don't have any problems with this one.
All right, are you good, Ed?
No, I think it's a huge improvement.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion, we approve the subsurface sewage disposal system upgrade at 17 4th Avenue with the 8 local upgrade approvals. And I think that's it, right?
Second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks,
Jerry.
Jerry.
Going through them quick, so I guess we'll continue on to the last one. Bob's not gonna make it. One previous thing, Ed, just for your notes, just make sure we have that Central Ave one. I know we're trying to keep a list now of which ones need to be tied into town water.
Okay.
When it does come down the road in a separate section, I think we're keeping, just so it doesn't get lost in the file, that, that's one of the ones if water ever does get run, they need to tie in. Make a note on the system and the water testing yearly we're supposed to have from that. Just keep that in our yearly tracking.
Okay.
All right, well, next on the agenda, 4 Blueberry Drive, meet with Allen and Major Associates Incorporated to discuss requested variance. I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good. Phil Cordero, Allen and Major Associates for the applicant. We have an interesting one that we have a septic system at 4 Blueberry that has failed. It serves a part of the facility. We are working to replace the system in kind. We coordinated and contacted the agent. We did new test pits to verify soil conditions and water table, and then based the repair design on those soil test pits. We submitted it based on not using some of the old data, but the old design. But what the agent had pointed out to us is that we have some soils in one of our test pits that fall under a different classification. The board can't grant a variance for not having 4 feet of naturally occurring pervious material, which we do, but we're asking for a variance in that we didn't test the silt loam material in TP2 under the percolation test requirements. So we're looking to basically ask for a variance to be able to replace the system in kind as it is out there today. I'm here to discuss that opportunity with the board.
Okay. I don't know if you were here earlier, but the only 2 members present, any motion made has to be unanimous to pass, or the motion fails.
Yes.
You do have a choice to continue if you want to wait till the 3rd member, or we can continue and discuss it further.
Well, let's discuss it further. You know, take some feedback from the board. Obviously, if the votes aren't going the right way, then, you know, we may defer and decide what to do at that point.
Okay. All right, so I looked at it. Again, yeah, I thought there was more room out there. I actually went by yesterday and walked the site.
Sure.
Now, we do have a water main coming in from the left. I don't believe it's shown on here. And the water tank, meter, must be the meter pit. There's a big tank, right?
We have a meter pit.
That
A
big
meter
tank
pit that
is the
comes
meter
in off
pit
of,
with
yeah.
a
Yes.
Patch on it.
Yes, that's our meter pit. It's, that's closer to the wetland area. It's to the west of the site's land that's here. So the reason we don't have the room necessarily to move the system is we have underground telephone lines
Yeah.
that would interfere with the layout of the system. And we also had an interest, as we move westerly, we fall into conservation jurisdiction. So we were looking to stay out of the buffer zones to that. The meter tank that you're referring to is much closer to the wetlands.
So there's wetlands looking at the house to the left, down in that corner where that little stream comes through.
That's
kinda
correct, sir.
Goes, and there's a little bridge right there.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, here's hold on a second.
Sure.
Third members here, so we'll have a full board. We just started discussing this one.
For anyone watching, I don't think I'm cool, I just got my eyes covered.
I don't know you, but I think you're cool.
So probably, just start over again?
Yes,
Sorry
of
for
course,
that, but
sure.
just seeing, he just walked, I'd like to have him hear
Absolutely,
everything
once
we
he
just
gets
talked
settled.
about. If he's gonna vote on it,
Sure.
thank you.
But go ahead.
Okay, Ficadero, Allen and Major Associates for 4 Blueberry. We have a failed septic system that serves part of the facility over there. We're looking to do a repair in place.
Okay.
We coordinated that process through your agent. We conducted new soil test pits to verify soil characteristics and water table. We prepared the repair design, we submitted it for review. What the agent identified, as is consistent with the previous test pits that were on the approved documents and the as-built, we have some silt loam material at depth in test pit 2 that wasn't recognized for purposes of design. So we're asking the board to recognize the system as proposed with the need for a variance that we did not test that silt loam layer with a percolation test. We did our testing in TP1, which is in the loamier sand material. So we were just starting to get into the discussion about the siting of the system, which moving it westerly to get off of TP2 starts to interfere, with an existing underground telephone line that we have on site, and then B, it moves into jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. We have some wetland areas that'll be just outside that 100-foot line where the system is located. So we're in asking for the variance rather than relocating the system.
Okay.
I think that's all we covered.
And the
Yes.
telephone line is on your side of that 10-foot setback?
Yes.
Okay.
So just to be clear, as a reminder, Blueberry Estates has a series of internal property lines, the way it was divided for the build-out. For purposes of setbacks, necessarily all contiguous lines by common ownership.
Yeah.
There's no interior line, but we're showing it because it is part of some of the record plans.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. What are those lines? Because we pulled up the map and it shows even all is one property.
Correct, because it's all owned by the same ownership. For legal purposes, it's considered one property. But when they were determining the density, when it was constructed, they needed to create those internal lot lines based on the build-out density.
So on theory, this system could go anywhere we could find a good perk, in theory.
In theory, yes, in theory.
Nothing.
We obviously have a number of other systems all over the property,
Right.
but in theory, yes.
And I know there used to be a big public well there that's no longer used that would stop from moving the systems around, but now that's
We've decommissioned the
decommissioned
well.
that, and
Yes,
now you're on, the whole site is on town water.
it is.
Yeah, they've done a few of these since I've been on the board. They've
A
changed
lot of
few
these, they all kept failing. I believe they hopefully found the problem with the pumps that were,
Yeah, I think part of the problem was the other ones didn't have filters, or there were single compartment tanks, ends up they were putting a lot of wipes in that was just getting grounded up by the pumps, and then when we pulled that old field, every orifice was just clogged with white.
Shredded material inside all of the orifices, yeah.
and that's why these have been failing so
So-
rapidly. I mean,
Well, this
we're
one's
8
gravity,
years on
though.
one.
This one is a gravity one, so this is not related to a pump. The one that Ed's referring to, it was all shredded, those orifices were
Okay.
clogged, we had to replace the whole thing. This was all gravity, different situation.
Okay, now what is the age of this system? Is this one of the originals? Did they get 20 or 25 years out of this, or is that silt clay layer messing the system up?
So this plan that I got from the department was dated 2009.
So that's why they're reusing the tank, because it's only 15 years old.
So they only get 15 years out of the system for some reason.
15 years.
And do we think it's because of that silt clay layer is holding it up? Is that?
I don't know. I mean, the other one, we figured it out once we ripped it up,
Right.
so to guess on this one, it's obviously different, because it wasn't grinding up, things. And this actually had a 2-compartment tank, and supposedly with a filter too, although, the owner did say that he was checking the tanks, a lot of them didn't have filters.
Yeah.
So they're originally supposed to be installed, whether someone pulled them out or didn't put them back in or something, but He was kind of concerned with that because like I said, they were all supposed to have filters.
Okay. And now on the water system, how in depth did they do the water system? Do they have each unit metered now? So now we can actually see the flow of this building and what people are using and whether
No.
we got issues?
No, it's, so the vault that you're referring to is the meter pit for the entirety of the site, so they're not individually
So you
metered.
don't know how much water goes to what unit, what building?
No, we know how much water goes to the site in total.
But that's it. Like I said, we've had, they just haven't been lasting out there as long as they should be.
This was a chambered field though, too. A lot of the chambers just aren't lasting 20 years.
Do you, when we're going over right now, this was, like galleys or something out there?
It was
Yeah,
Caltech
chambers.
floors.
Ah, they were, so they must have been one of the first ones back in Caltech. I
Yeah,
see.
that was a long time ago, yeah.
Well, in 09, you said it was?
09.
Yeah, that's
And
about
they're
when they
already
started,
failing.
right?
Yeah. So, and they're just in sand, no stone around them? That's where the original Caltex were, right?
Yeah.
So they're not lasting either. I think we've had quite a few failures on the Caltex.
Yeah, and looking at it, the field, it's smaller than what they're proposing now because they're using the stone now, so the stone's a little bigger area-wise.
Yeah, the owner asked us to stay away from the Caltex. Yeah.
I would agree. As an installer, and we're not making the field smaller at all, no reduction, it's full size.
No.
Obviously, there's no treatment because you meet nitrogen loading with the size of the site. You are raising it 2 feet above existing grade, so you're gonna have, it's gonna be up higher, it's gonna help more.
Yes.
Again, that clay layer really worries me because it just doesn't, it's just a bathtub. It doesn't, I'm familiar with the site and that clay layer. And it'd be a 60-minute perk if you tried to perk that layer. It's very,
It's not universal across the pit.
Correct.
Right, it's
it's
that
not even
area.
in the other hole.
Correct.
It's pure
Correct.
sand all the way down.
Right.
And so you got basically one whole half of this field, this system going right over that silt clay. And, you know, the only thing you really have to do to go to the left is just that it is a telephone line. The electric line isn't even in that same trench. The electric line comes around close to the building. It's just a telephone line that I for the life of me, I can't understand why it comes from that cul-de-sac to the back property line in a box and then back to the house.
Yeah, I can't answer that either.
Baffled me when I was looking at it yesterday.
Was that the only 2 holes you guys dug out there? Did you check some other stuff that you decided not to even?
Well, I think
log
that at the
looked
time
like
was, since
crap?
we had one very good hole, and then the other one was just 3.5 feet, we thought we could kind of slide it over.
Right.
They didn't know
Not
that line.
knowing about the
the
telephone line.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then when I saw the plan, I was like, oh, I guess.
The
Exactly.
telephone line.
Yeah, I was just curious, like if you had dug on something else, like that had a good indication of how far that layer spreads, you know what I mean?
No, part of it too is, you know, when we have the failed system too, so, you know, we were sort of limited in terms of where we were
Right,
digging around
right.
because the system is still there.
True.
Yeah, we basically tested on both ends of the
Did
field.
you happen to look at the perks from the last repair?
That's what I was gonna ask,
have,
from
yeah.
2009.
You know, they're all 2 minutes, is what they predicated everything off of.
And they didn't have that
So
silt there?
they didn't find that?
So they did, so that's my point, is in test hole 2, they had a silt loam layer at depth. And the system was still designed on 2 minutes an inch. Excuse me one second, let me just turn that off, I apologize.
That consistent?
So they had 64 inches of it though, of sand.
So it gets
before they-
thicker as it goes that way.
Yeah, so when they tested, cause he only had the 3.5 feet, so, 42 inches. And they had the 64, it went down to 84 inches. So they had 20 to 84 of sand, so they didn't have to worry about what was below that because they had
They
that.
had 4 feet.
Because they had the full
curve
four,
with
which I
material.
don't.
So yeah, if you use that, the existing field had decent soil, and we were just outside the field, and when then we were just 6 inches short of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I believe Ed had said also the one other way you can get around is use a Presby. I guess with Presby, they allow only 2 feet of naturally occurring material. Is that, but again, that's, I like the stone feels.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, where we're switching the style, I think
And why would they?
we're gonna have better storage with what's going in, I think, than what the Caltech could be, right? Or could have been.
Yeah, 'cause there's all stone around and stone under it. It's a stone bed
Yeah.
field. I mean, it's,
So I think there's a better situation for this than going that other route.
Now, none of the wetlands were flagged, because it doesn't show any wetlands. I can't really tell. I know you say they're to the left, but I don't have any picture of where they are, how far. Where's your 100 foot to your wetlands?
Sure.
To move it? Do we
Yeah, this
have?
is a very zoomed in picture, you don't really
Right.
see where everything is.
I mean, I don't wanna not move it to the left just because that one telephone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure. So we,
You know,
you,
it's,
go ahead, Tim.
we need to try to make these systems last a little longer.
Mhm.
And we don't want them to keep failing for the cost of these systems and the people living there. I mean, I'd like to, and again, we know there's a layer that's not gonna leach on that whole right side. It's just, if there's anything possible we could come up with to move it a little.
This is the old one.
Right,
Shows the
right.
wetland right
Cause you're a good 30, 25 feet further to the
This,
right.
this old plan is much better. Shows the building, the field, shows the wetlands. This old plan that whoever did this one shows everything. Yeah, the wetlands are way over here. Here's the existing, shows the whole building. The old, yeah, those 2 pits were the 2 old ones before they went up to here.
So that shows the.
So really, there's all this
117
land.
feet off.
I mean, short of a telephone line, they could get tons of room to slide it into good shape.
The only thing it's not showing now is there's a water main right through here. So you gotta be 10 feet from this way,
Yeah.
that's what feeds it out of Woods Edge now. There's a
Okay.
big meter pit, like a 1,000-gallon tank with a hatch cover on it.
Yeah.
Right here, so you gotta be at least 10 from that.
Yeah,
But
But the buffer, if you extrapolate off of our plan where it shows the concrete pad at the house location due, page north, that's where the 100-foot buffer would come in.
it's like there's a ton of them.
So while we could build in the buffer, the owner asked us to, see if we could not fall into conservation permitting.
Could you come and look at this plan for a second? This shows 100 foot, at least 40 feet, 50 feet away. This plan here that they did, there's 100 there.
Right, so if this concrete pad to here,
Yeah,
again, if you extend that same through here, that's the same concrete pad.
yeah,
That 100-foot line will be right about in here.
So this is, it's 140 to there and 117 to there, based on,
Okay.
on that plan right there. So that's about 7 feet from the old system to the new system.
yeah, we're talking about going back to conservation, but the line's way over here.
Yeah, he's got room.
Even the 100's way over here.
Yeah, I mean, even the 117, so you could
Yeah.
at least move it 10,
Yeah,
because you can go within 50 feet. I mean, you have to file with Concom to 100.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you will have some grading though, coming out,
yeah.
Right, so the intent of it was not to file for, obviously, we would trip within the 100. And then again, that telephone line, which is here, which is generally located right about here, is the other restriction that they were trying to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you, I think that this is putting half the field in where we know it's not gonna work properly.
The only
Yeah.
aggravation would be moving a telephone line, right?
And filing, which maybe they could just give them a notice for intent, or I don't know if they're, I'm not conservation, so I can't really speak for them, but
Would they for just grading into the buffer?
I don't think they'd make it file, but then again, I don't know. It's a,
I don't know if it'd be an NOI, but you'd have to do like an RDA or
you
something.
definitely have to file and go to the meeting.
We did an NOI for the water line work, which we thought it was an RDA, given it was an open field.
Yeah.
It was we ended up with an NOI.
So if you were involved with the water line, you must know exactly where it is then.
The water line?
Yeah.
We do,
Okay.
yes.
So-
We know where the water line is. To the chair's point, we didn't plot it on this plan because it's so focused behind building 4, but we know where the line is.
But it's definitely outside where you're showing the property line and the 10
Yes.
foot. It's
Yes, it's
probably
much
another
closer.
20 or 30 feet to the, off this building, right? It's at
Yes.
least 30 feet off this building.
It's just outside of if you go to the older plan, which shows the wider view where the tree line is, it's just
Yeah.
outside of that tree,
It's probably on the 50-foot buffer.
plus minus. Yes.
So there's quite a
Yeah,
bit of
so-
room.
There's a ton of
I
them.
mean, it's just, especially with this, you have such a good hole on test pit 1.
Mhm.
I mean, they're missing it by, what are we missing, the 4 feet of natural occurring material by like 6 inches?
6 inches.
I don't know. It's a tough one.
And we're switching from stone, from the chambers to the stone and pipe, so you got,
Yeah, it'll be higher too, so it's, cause it's 3.5 feet of natural material, but then he's adding another.
but then you got all the other stuff that we're putting
Tire
in,
fines, so.
that you don't. And yeah, you got that storage in the chamber, but the chamber, it just functions differently than the pipe, the stone does.
Yeah, so you can see how quick it changed. So if you look at these two plans, you got the old test pit 2, they had 60 inches of material, 4 feet of natural occurring. And when they went from there, they moved 20 feet to the right, probably to this test pit 2. And so you can see how much it changes just in 20 feet between these two test holes.
And the old field was way out here. So I wouldn't think the phone line's any closer than the old field.
It must have went right through it.
Yeah, it's showing the phone line on top.
The phone
on
line
top
went
of
in
the
after
field.
they abandoned the septic?
It must have
Because
been
the old
after
one's
that
right here.
septic was in.
No,
Must have-
that's the working septic, so they put the phone line right over the
Yeah,
septic.
it's like right on the corner.
They did that with the other one too,
Oh,
didn't they?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, because in this one, it's right through the corner of the septic.
Alright.
There's a little handhole here. It runs from a handhole at the cul-de-sac to here to
And then
here.
back.
Why it
And
doesn't.
we don't know why they backfed it. We've no idea.
um,
But it's funny that the wire does go over the first septic system.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely improving the situation, but
And again, we didn't even perk the extra 20 feet to the right. So I mean, that, where it's 3.5 feet now, if it's already changed in 20 feet by 2 feet,
yeah, it could
you
be
might only
nothing.
have
Could-
8
Could be
inches.
worse, yeah.
Not 8 inches, but you might only have 2 feet of naturally occurring material by the time you get to the end of this field.
Yeah.
If it's changing that much coming up,
Yeah, it's almost would have been kind of cool to see a hole out here, to see if the tier was shifted, they could turn the system or something,
Yeah.
right?
I think we just assumed we could push it back the other way. and-
Yeah.
Right.
right, it's that telephone, so it's getting held up on the telephone lines, really. And obviously, you could only move it 17 feet, which would bring it to the corner of the building. Even without filing, it would still help. I mean, I think if you're gonna move the line,
Or dig another hole. I'd like to know what's back here.
the Woods Edge system, that big one, the first one, when you go over the bridge, is right here. This is the path to it. It's
Oh,
literally right there. So you have that whole system up there,
Mhm.
is this backyard.
What do we
There's a
know about,
Little row of trees.
what do we know about what's going on over there in the ground? Is it-
It was all built up. That one's been redone already once.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you can see the mountain systems
Yeah, I
back
think
there.
of Presby.
It's a little lower over there too, though. Yeah.
So I guess there's no one else to speak on this one. Ed, you did the perks, recommendation on you, from what you saw, was that 6 inches?
Yeah, but like you just said though, in 20 feet it went that far. Without knowing what's at the other end, we could be given a variance to half of that.
That's the
And we don't
question.
even know it.
If it was just 6 inches, I don't have a big issue with it, but if it's 2 feet, then.
By the time
that's
you
an
get to
issue.
this
Yeah, by the
end.
time you get to the other
That
end, the
play
way
way-
it's
Then
rising.
it would be
I
an
mean,
issue, and that-
Is it something we think we could do at open hole? Like, start with the good end, and as you're working down, follow that stuff and.
No, because you'd have to
and then
redesign the whole thing.
Well, no, I'm saying then shit, you know,
I think you'd have to move the
Twist.
electric line ahead of time. if that's the case, and file.
Well, I'm just saying if it's better, if it starts to get better, if it doesn't get better, then you're screwed. Yeah.
You don't have much room to turn it with this tree line and them trees that are there, because this is all wide open behind here, where that other septic is. It's just one little row of trees.
What if you put it like, just try to push it back some, like rather than make it long, it's getting short and fat, put a liner rather than, cause you just did the 15-foot to break out, put a liner and then just, go 5 feet after the liner.
I could look at that. I could look at that if that's better for everybody. Fatten it out and then pull the slope in.
I'm just trying to get it over the better part.
I understand. We would want nothing more than that than to move it over the better sand also.
Right. If it was 25 years since the last one, we'd probably.
We're already
about
going
as
on our
much,
third
but-
system on this same unit. And they should be
I mean,
left.
I'd really like another hole. I wanna know what's over there. If it's only 6 inches in the whole field, then fine, but it could not, we couldn't be close to that by the time we get to the other end. And we know that ain't gonna work. That's just my opinion. You guys can do what you want, but
That, if
It's the
we,
easiest solution,
if the
probably.
grades were going the other way and it was getting deep, you'd be like, no big deal, but it's getting lower, you know what I mean? Shallower and shallower there.
that be a viable option, if for you to dig one more hole up at the end of the system, figure out where the end of the system is and dig a hole right, just to make sure you still have 3.5 feet? And
We
if you
could-
do,
We could maybe
if you
do it contingent upon that verification, and if not, move the line and slide over.
So you're saying if it's 3.5 feet, it's okay, but you're not gonna do 3 feet and you're not gonna do 2 feet. It's gotta be at least 3.5.
Yeah. And
I honestly don't think it's gonna be.
then you do it do it at install, right? And if you hit that, you're like, all right, well,
again,
it's fine,
I
but
would
if not,
recommend
you
doing
shift
it
it.
ahead of time,
Yeah.
so you
I mean,
know,
you rent a mini for 2 hours and you dig
You
one
just go
more
dig a
hole and call
hole
it a day.
have Ed witness it and say, we're good.
This is a big building, a ton of
Because it's gonna
flow.
take you a month or two, well, it's already a failure, so we don't wanna wait that long, but to move an electric telephone line, they don't come out very quickly.
Right.
They might run a temporary one on the ground,
Mhm.
while you trying to get them to do something, but
Right.
tell them they don't move quickly.
That's the owner's urgency, is not to be waiting for the telephone company.
Right. Because it could take,
And
If
then,
it was any
and
place
then-
else, I'd say, who's using the telephone and the houseboat?
that's all,
But they're probably using the
These people are,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then it's all computer, you know, what I mean, everybody's computers and internet, and you can't be done without it, I mean, I get that.
Right. So listen, we're happy to dig. If the board's willing to entertain it, if we dig the additional test pit and it's 3.5 feet, then you would grant it contingent on that and we can proceed. If it's not, then we'll have to react accordingly.
Try to scoot it back down to
Try to
beyond this
scoot it.
test pit where,
Yeah.
and that's actually puts it back into the exact position where it is, it's scooting it
Yeah.
Well,
34 feet that way.
We're amenable, not that I'm trying to negotiate on the fly, of course, but if you're amenable, we dig contingent on an approval to the variance, we dig the additional test pit. If it's 3.5 feet or more, we're good, we can continue. If it's less than that, we would fatten the system and introduce the liner at the agent's suggestion. And in an effort to move
Yeah,
it
get-
away from 2,
And get it back over, to have the end of the system at the end of that test pit too.
at the end of test
We
pit.
know it's 3.5 feet there.
Yes. Yes. So it gives, I'm just trying to establish a path that they can move forward, get the machines out there and actually start working on it
Yeah.
in a manner that you're all comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but I'll bet right now when they dig that corner, it's not gonna be 3.5.
If it's changing that quick from this
Exactly.
test pit to this test
To that
pit,
one, yeah.
I mean, it already changed 1.5 feet.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, it's hard to know, like, without seeing everything else, looking at the topo map.
But they are putting a pump in and raising it, so now it's gonna be 2 feet higher. It's
Yeah.
actually gonna be a 2-foot mound up out of the ground.
Yeah.
So that's gonna help, it's gonna
That's
give
gonna
you
help too.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna give more.
5 feet of sand underneath it from now, because they only had 3.5, but they're adding 2
Right.
2 or 3 feet, so you're gonna have over 5 feet of sand now.
Yeah.
We would make it work regardless of that soil, because it's going up, but it's not natural, so we're not counting it.
No, and as long as it's consistently across too, this thing should last a hell of a lot longer than the other stuff did. I always look at all these any system that's got more than one person putting, or one unit putting stuff into is always tough.
No, but I mean, I'm fine making a variance to 3.5 and then, but if it's not 3.5, when it goes out there, then they gotta figure something else out.
Now, on these units, don't we have anything that these have to be inspected so often, being an elderly place, and pumped so often? Do we get records that these are being done, or this doesn't
So-
fall into that category?
Yeah, they do get Title V inspections, yeah, but I mean, I don't do them.
But that's as far
Yeah,
as.
their shared system is supposed
So
to be
every
couple
3
of
years, so
Yeah.
they have to happen, so they've been getting that?
Yeah.
And they've been turning them in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's maybe why they're finding them, because there's not breakout or anything like that, it's not.
No, you would never have known it, so I think Lewis over at Bay State's doing them for Blueberry.
Okay. And then the pumping, they've been pumping regularly? And I think it's,
Haven't really checked the pumping
they're not
records
just
on them, but I mean,
pumping
I'm assuming,
And you can't force somebody to pump them, but
yeah.
it's definitely recommended. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm
So,
good with,
You know, we wanna make a
The
motion
proposal.
on it. As long as they do a test hole prior to,
As long as it's got at least 3.5 feet, you're good.
as long as
and
it's
not-
consistent with
yeah,
that
if
one.
it's anything less than.
But if it's going down to 2 feet or something, you said your idea, I think, would be good if we have to widen it,
Sure,
shorten it 20 feet to get over that one.
sure. We'll look at it.
Put a line around if we have to. We'll continue to get it in and hopefully it works 25 years and not,
Outlast all of us.
I'm good with it.
right, I'll make a motion, we approve the sewage disposal repair at 4 Blueberry Drive with the variance to allow the 3.5 feet of material, contingent upon a test hole that confirms that material. If that material is not confirmed, then it will have to come back before us, I believe, is what we want to do.
Done in that
I'm sorry.
west corner.
I don't know if we'll have to come back before us, Ed, do we have to?
If he can do it without another waiver, I mean, unless he wants to come back for 2 feet to,
If he-
yeah.
But we can shorten it and keep it to that.
Yeah, so as long as he keeps that, the
System.
existing pit that had 3.5 feet at the edge of the field.
Yeah, in the
then,
corner of the northeast field.
Yeah,
It makes it wider, it
Yeah.
keeps it there. He doesn't need to come back.
Right, the intent would not be to come back.
Right, alright, so
As long as you can-
contingent upon the test hole in the northeast section of the field confirming the material that we're seeing in the test holes is consistent. Otherwise, readjust the system to make it skinnier and not as wide and fatter, or wider, not as long.
Fatter would be for a
And
line.
moving it closer to that, the consistent material.
When they take that
And
loose,
Ed,
they're gonna load
Ed
it.
Ed will verify that
Second.
adjustment.
Any discussion?
Second. Aye.
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 We'll get to work, thank you,
All right,
thanks, Phil.
thanks.
thank you.
All right, which ones did you do it out in?
I think we did everything with you except
Minutes.
I jumped down to meeting minutes, review and approve meeting minutes as typed for May 1st, 2024. We did not approve them because you were not here, so, that's all we have left. We've done announcements, we've done everything.
Okay.
Everybody good with them?
Yeah,
Yes.
Make a motion, we approve the Town of Lakeville Board of Health meeting minutes for May 1st, 2024 as typed.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I ask this number 2, it says Cousins, is that the same pizza place? It's a totally different
As
business.
Fat Cousins? No,
Yeah.
No.
different.
All right, just checking. I was wondering that. Everything else was kind of a no-brainer.
We approved that, everything else was approved.
Okay.
You have anything?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.